What's up everyone, 94 here. As you know, Apple just recently had WWDC 2 days ago. It was a super cool event. It was online only. First time this has happened because of everything going on in the world right now. It obviously had to be online, but the production of this was amazing. It was so well done, and the transitions they had, even just between like talking about iOS to iPadOS or any of the other softwares that they talked about all of theirs. They did it with drones. It was crazy. It was super cool and fun to watch. So let's get into talking about it. Starting with iOS, the biggest thing coming to iOS is widgets. Widgets are something that Android's had for a while and is finally making its way to iOS. So one thing I forgot when editing was widgets. With the widgets, you can now have widget folders. So essentially, if you don't want them to take up all of your phone space, you can now have them in like a folder and you can just swipe between them. They have one called Apple Stacks that's just suggestion based on what Apple thinks, but you can put your own into folder so that way you can scroll through and see what you want. Back to the video. And I feel this is going to be a game changer for a lot of people because we've been asking for these for so long on iOS. They look super clean. They're really easy to use, really easy to implement. Right now, they're only for Apple apps because they're the ones who have the code, which makes sense. You have 3 sizes. Typically, I think there was a couple that only had 2, but you have a small one, a medium, and a large one to choose between them. And as the bigger you get, the more information that you're able to then see. You also have these widgets when you swipe all the way to the left. Then you get where your typical widgets were, but now they have the all redesigned widget section. This is really nice because if you don't want widgets in the front and you just want them over to the left, you can still have that, but they look a lot cleaner now. And now when you swipe over to the right, another real big change for Apple is you have the app library. This is similar to the app drawer that you have on Android where you swipe up and then all of your apps are there. Apple now has that when you swipe all the way to the right. This organizes all your apps in categories that Apple smartly decides with AI. I think it is pretty nice, and if you have trouble finding any of them, you can just swipe down and it gives you a list view from A to Z, which is super cool. Otherwise, you can just type in your app name and it will pull that up and you'll be able to select it there as normal. Changes coming to iMessage as well, and these are pretty big changes, or pretty welcome changes, I should say. With group chat, it's going to save your sanity. Trust me, it has already saved mine. I downloaded the developer betas on all of these, and let me tell you, it's a life changer. So now in group chats, you can have it so there's mentions. This way, you can only get notified when your name is mentioned. This will be so nice for so many people because you have these group chats where you aren't even like thinking about what they're talking about, or you're trying to talk to someone else and you can't really talk to them because you have these 10 different messages in between and it's just super hard to communicate. Now you have that mention, so you only get notified when you're mentioned. If you want that, you can just have all notifications if you're a crazy person. You then also, with those mentions, have replies within replies now. So once you get mentioned, you can then just reply to that one text, and then you'll start a new thread, and everyone will be able to see that thread, so that they can go and comment in that as well. Also in iMessage, you can now pin group chats, or pin any type of chat for that matter, and those will just show up at the top. For Siri and calls, there is a new compact design, so this way it doesn't cover up the entire screen, so you can still see content that you're looking at. For calls, it's going to pop up right at the top. For Siri, it's going to pop up right at the bottom. They've changed a couple things with CarPlay as well. You can now finally add your own wallpaper. It's just preset ones, but it still is very nice rather than that bland gray color. There's also a new feature called Apple Keys that is coming out slowly to cars that are being made. The first one I think was BMW. They are 2021 BMW, I should say. It essentially will be able to start the car, lock and unlock the car from your iPhone. Finally, the thing I am most excited about with this iOS 14 update once it starts to work with other apps, because it only works with Apple TV right now, Apple TV and FaceTime, my bad, but picture and picture mode. This is something I have greatly missed on Android. Probably the thing that I hated the most about iOS. I shouldn't say hate, but disliked that it couldn't do this. So anytime you're watching a YouTube video, you're watching Netflix, Hulu, whatever it may be, you could swipe up from the bottom. I should say those last ones I assume they're going to add, but you can swipe up from the bottom and you can have the video still playing while looking at other things. This has been needed for so long. I don't know why they haven't added this until now, but thank you, Apple. It's a breath of fresh air that you are now able to do this. You can adjust the size of the video. You can just swipe out to make it the entire screen. A really cool feature is you can swipe it to the side if you need to like make a quick text and see the whole thing or just anything else, and then you can swipe it back in and it's still there and it's still playing. Super cool feature. I'm super pumped for this. I love it already. If I'm watching anything Apple TV, I can't wait for YouTube, Netflix, and all the other video apps to finally integrate this and have the capability to do it, because it is so nice. Now iPadOS. Basically take everything that I just said and shift that over to iPadOS. The messages, the Siri, the calls, all of that is still the same. The biggest benefit to iPadOS is Scribble. So this is mainly in conjunction with the Apple Pencil. So now if you are doing anything with the Apple Pencil, like taking notes, all of that different kinds of stuff, and you want to like go search Safari real quick, but then you have to like kind of hold the pencil awkwardly or set it down, type it in. Now you can just write it into the search bar and it will change it to text. Just a little convenient thing, but super cool. It's been a thing that's been wanted for a while now, is handwriting to text. You can do this in notes. You can do this in other things as well, like reminders. You can just write it in and it will change it to text. You can scribble out, so then it will erase that what you just wrote. Another really cool feature. But you can also then copy and paste this. So if you're like writing stuff and then you want to then change that into text and something else, when you highlight it, you can do copy as text, and then when you paste it, it will paste as a text. With watchOS, there are minor improvements. The activity is now changed to fitness for the name. That's one kind of, I guess, big thing. So now you have formal workouts, you have core training, functional strength training, you have a cool down mode, and my favorite out of all of them, dance. You can now track your dancing. I believe it's using the gyroscope and accelerometer and a couple of other things for this, because along with hand movements, you also need leg movements. And this is not on a wrist. That'd be hilarious if they made an Apple ankle watch purely for dancing. They obviously wouldn't, but there is a way that it has the ability to track kind of everything that you are doing. My favorite feature though in watchOS 7 is 100% the hand washing detection. So what this does is they say it takes machine learning, and then once it recognizes those motions of your hand washing, then it will turn on the audio within the watch, so then it can hear that water running to confirm that you're washing your hands, and then that will then start the countdown. And once you stop washing, if it's any time before the 20-second countdown that they give you, since that's the recommended time, it will tell you to keep washing your hands. So you think Apple knows everything about you, but now they know whether you wash your hands properly or not. Now for what I think may have been the most interesting part of this entire thing. By far, this clip I'm about to show you is by far my favorite part from the keynote because it's just hilarious. Enjoy.
But what should we call it? Well, if you're a student of macOS, you know this question can only be answered by Apple's legendary crack marketing team. Their drug-fueled, minibus-driven vision quests have yielded some great names and sadly spawned a host of imitators. The truth is, we can't responsibly continue to inadvertently lead our competition to copy these methods when they clearly can't handle the trip. So this year, we're leaving our process shrouded in mystery and taking you straight to the glorious destination, Our next release of macOS is macOS Big Sur.
That was by far the greatest introduction to any type of software, product name, anything like that. It's just totally Apple's perfect. Changes that they're making to macOS are there's a control center now up in that top right corner. You now have widgets as well. You have all the iMessage features and all that stuff. One of the biggest changes was to Safari. So now it's more customizable. You can add your own wallpaper to your home page, and there's different elements that you can now add to your home page just to more personalize it to you and give you quick access to other things. And this kind of links up, from what they showed in the video, it kind of links up with all of your other devices as well. Be interesting to see if they do that. It would make sense because a lot of these features, they're kind of adding throughout all of them. And it's really cool to see because now as you move from one to the other, it's just less of a difference and kind of just feels like one nice smooth transition, which is Apple's very good at. One of the things that changed to macOS that I like the most is it's pretty colorful now. They changed Finder, they changed the app icons and all that different kinds of stuff, and it feels more colorful. It just feels super nice. Perhaps though, the biggest and most satisfying change to macOS is the power on sound. It's fantastic. I shut my computer off now specifically so I turn it on and can hear that. It's amazing. The last thing they talked about, and what may have been the biggest thing, is Apple is finally switching to their own silicon chips for their computers. So your MacBooks now are going to have all Apple design chips. They no longer have to wait for Intel to get better, for them to improve their products. They now hold their own future in their hands, and I think this is going to be a really big benefit to anyone who is buying a MacBook. I think you're going to have better efficiency, better optimization. I think you're going to get even more powerful chips, especially based off of iPads and iPhones. Those chips are ridiculously amazing, and I cannot wait for that first MacBook to ship with their own chip in it because I think it's going to change the game. That is supposed to be later this year, I believe they said, but the transition will take about 2 years for them to slowly roll everything over to their own designed chips. Overall, WWDC was a really good event. I'd recommend watching it if you have the time. It's like 2 hours long, so it's pretty long, but great production. It'll be interesting to see if Apple starts to switch to online in general rather than having a bunch of people come in, because this was so well done and I think so well received. So it will be interesting to see how it kind of changes what they do. Anyways, thanks for watching. Till the next one, stay safe. See you then.